In the heart of Manitoba, music isn't just a sound, it's a lifeline. Behind the Music takes you on a journey through the lives of local artists, revealing the raw passion that fuels their creativity. From the cramped basements where they hone their craft, to the electrifying moments on stage, we explore their inspirations and the struggles they face along the way. Each story is unique, yet they all share a common thread, the relentless pursuit of their dreams. Discover how these artists channel their experiences into powerful melodies and witness the transformative power of music as it connects us all. Join us as we celebrate the voices that shape our community and inspire us to keep pushing forward.
So welcome to the first ever Behind the Music. I'm sitting here with Joel Emerson. Joel, tell us about yourself.
I'm Joel Emerson. I'm from Winnipeg, originally from McGregor, Manitoba, where I grew up half my life, and a year over half in Winnipeg now. So that is me. I play in a band called the Valley Narrow. I have a other band that's a little on hiatus right now called Ion Crush, which you'll be hearing about probably in the late summer. And I am the host and creator of the Peg City Soundoff.
Nice. So, you got to back up so we can see it.
There it is.
There you go. There
Merchandise,
you go.
one of a kind.
And you do sell those, though, don't you?
No, this is the only one. I am going to get into selling, and I also have sweaters and T-shirts I might get into selling, but we'll get to that.
Okay, well, you have to let me know when you do that. But so which one do you want to start with? Kind of what got you going in the industry when you first ever picked up a guitar? Or?
Yeah, probably start from there. You know, if I'm going to start that off, it was I guess I was 17 or 18 years old. Growing up, my dad had been in a cover band. They had some originals too, and I kind of idolized him growing up. Hearing about, he was in this band, and he pulled out a reel-to-reel one day and played a song, and it was his band, and then another song came on, and I'm pretty sure it was actually Santana, but he seemed to think it was him. But he played some songs. There was a song called The Final Hour, which a great song. They have reunited a few times, 2000, 2011, 2014, and then I believe it was 2018. And so, you know, growing up and hearing that, I always thought that was cool, and I was always into music. My brothers were big into music. My sister was big into music. I would say a lot of my teen years were shaped from my brothers with what they listened to, which was they never grew into the 80s, so I was big into Motley Crue and Cinderella, Poison, all that stuff. Now I can't listen to it, but so growing up with that, music was always around. So when I was 18, I got my first ever income tax check back, and I thought the only way I can spend this money was to buy my dad a guitar. So I bought him a guitar and presented it to him. It was Sam Bennett, like a Telecaster looking, or a Stratocaster looking thing. That and a little amp, and I presented to him, and he said, "Well, that's great, but I didn't play guitar. I was the singer only." So someone had to learn to play. He knew a couple chords. He knew like D, A, and G and stuff, and he showed me that. So he essentially showed me Bad Moon Rising, which I've never thought about. That was probably the first song I ever learned to play. So I learned that, and then things just kept progressing, and I started getting into Tool a bit and started playing some Tool songs, which is not really the transition you'd expect from CCR. But that's kind of where my music started playing in, and yeah, you know, people would come over to my house, and we'd, you know, have people over and a couple drinks and stuff, and I'd be the guy playing guitar, but I'd only be playing intros of songs. So someone told me to play a whole song, and I was like, oh, can't do that. Yeah. intros only, half hour of intros. So yeah, that's I guess where it all started for me. And then you know, I go and, sorry, I'm buzzing off here. I go and buy my first guitar, a Epiphone Les Paul Black. It's like cream colored textures on it, and then the rest is history. I won't take you down the rabbit hole of all the guitars I've owned and sold and now own. You just check me on Facebook, check out Valley Narrow, you'll see them all.
Nice. So then, did you play in any other bands along the way?
I did actually. I played in a band called Mostly Thursday, which is still my email right now. My personal email is Mostly Thursday. Played in this band called Mostly Thursday with Kevin Laidlaw on drums, Lindsey Birch on guitars, Elliot Brown on bass. Who Elliot is still with me today with a band called Ion Crush. He's kind of my weird to say. He's like my Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham. You kind of write everything together. He's actually not part of Valley Narrow though, but he's got his own life going on right now. But yeah, now he's part of a band called Valence, which is him and his wife, and they will have their debut show February 22nd at the Tap House with us for our EP release, which we recorded with yours truly, Jeff here. So Mostly Thursday, we did okay. It was a cover band. We were on top of the world, and then we played the Legion in Portage. There was a broken string, there was a bloody hand. My Les Paul was covered in blood, and drummer had a couple drinks and thought he was Neil Peart, I think, and who was probably his idol actually. But we had a really bad show. I think it was a bad show, and then we kind of took a hiatus from that, and we came back to it with another female vocalist, and we started playing some songs, thought it was kind of cool, and then it just never worked out. And then from there stemmed a group called the Quartet Trio, which was three of us, me and my friend Elliot and his wife actually, and we auditioned for the Forks, and we had to come up with a name. We didn't have a name at the time, but there was three of us, and we thought if we go a Quartet Trio, they'll never know if it's three or four. And we got I guess you call it a contract with the Forks. We were able to busk at the Forks. We had an outside busking pass, so we did some busking down there and got the nerves out of playing in front of people. And the first thing we ever got thrown in our guitar case was a Toblerone bar, which we had to do for a few months before we ate it. And a couple of bucks here and there, and some good memories of playing with the trio there. And then we did it again the year after, and we got an inside and outside busking pass, and we didn't really play that much that year, but that eventually led into us getting a drummer involved, who is PJ Heppenstall, who is also in Ion Crush but also in Valley Narrow. He got involved, and then my lovely wife, her brother, came down from the sky with the best bass skills I've ever seen and joined Ion Crush. And then when that kind of went on hiatus, we wrote about 5 or 6 songs. We ended up as Valley Narrow with the wonderful Eric Colbert on vocals. Young kid that I call him a kid because I'm 20 years older than him, but a young guy that has a knack for writing songs and catchy songs. He's also
his vocals too, man. Like, wow.
phenomenal. That guy's so good. And you know what, Jeff? You got to see him live, because what you heard in the studio, what you're going to hear on the EP when it comes out, and you've already heard Siren, you're going to hear Runaway. When you hear Eric live, he's a whole other monster. I don't think there's much better than him in the local scene, with the amount of passion he puts in. And yeah, he goes from here to up here. So that's the history of my my bands. I don't think there's any other bands. Oh, there's a couple little tryout things and jamming with people, and then it got weird. So
well, and that's most of what creates a band, right? At least in my experience, is you find people, you sit down, you jam, and it's kind of like, oh wow, hey, the chemistry with us is great, and the next thing you know, you build into something, right?
Yeah.
Where people feel exactly what you're throwing to, and now you're moving.
Isn't that the thing, though, right? I thought with the Mostly Thursday band, the first band, and what a cool experience to be part of your first band. Your first show. I remember we played a thing called Gurkey Fest, and it was in High Bluff. It was the first show ever, and our bass player couldn't make it. He couldn't make it. He couldn't make it out, so we had to get rest in peace, Julian Hoyak from McGregor, who played in a band called Strange, who was also my history teacher. and he jumped on stage and he just wanted to key the song was in, and he nailed out about 7 songs, and it was the coolest feeling that we're playing in a band for people. It was like 10 people, but you're playing your first band, and then you play a couple other shows, and it's like cool, and you think that it's a high at first. It's like, oh wow, we're playing. It's also nerve-wracking, and but I still get that same feeling even today playing live. Right now we're on what we call the epic five show run. We got 5 shows in 6 weeks. We're playing the Park Theater this weekend, and I am so nervous to play the Park Theater. I am trembling. I picked up a you can't see in the back here. I picked up a Vox AC-15, rented it for a month just to see, and I'm so excited, but I'm so nervous, and it's the nerves of, are the settings going to be set right? Is my pedal board and everything going to be okay? Am I going to flub a solo? That's the worst thing, is every time I'm coming up to a solo bit, and they're not hard solos, but every time I come up to it, I overthink it, and I'm like, am I in the right key? Am I gonna mess up? But man, what an experience being your first band playing live, and 4 bands later, you're still, playing live, as nervous as you were the first band you played with.
Well, and I've heard a lot of that too. Like myself personally, if we go up to play, it's kind of that, like, it's not exactly shakes or anything, but it's almost like that. You go back to, you've learned so much and became so much over that time frame, and just the experience with your group, right? And then all of a sudden you stand on stage and you feel like you just forgot everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's the way it is with you, but my mind just goes blank the minute I'm up there.
Oh, I know. And yeah, it's just the funniest thing, right? And I guess the part that gets me is it's just a simple thing. So I'll tell you a quick story that leads into a great moment. But last weekend, the weekend before, we played Bulldog Event Center, and Eric broke a string 2 songs in. Eric doesn't have a backup guitar. The backup guitar is my Les Paul, which I use for other songs. So I said, no problem, use this. Well, there was a guy in the crowd that had a Gretsch, beautiful Gretsch. And he said, you can use my Gretsch if you want. So we plug in, and it's not tuned, and get that all tuned up. So we're already down a string. We already broke a string. Eric may be a little shaky from that. It's, we're the headliners. It's 11. No, it's like 12 o'clock. We got a broken string. We're using someone else's guitar. 6 songs later, when you know what, that guitar strap let go. Typical Gretsch pin in the back of it.
Yeah.
Strap let go. Guitar hits the ground.
Oh.
And it's one of those things, he held it together so good. And I thought, man, he's doing so good for a guy who's just started playing in a band. Last April, I guess our first show was last July or August or something. But he held it together so good. And one thing I thought in that moment was, he's doing great. He's not letting it get the best of him. But if I may go to my dad, watching my dad play, anyone who knows my dad knows he's a very quiet person. The thought of him getting upset is troubling to people, because he's just not that kind of guy, right? And watching him play, every time I've watched him play, he comes out with sunglasses on. 3 songs in, those sunglasses are off. And many conversations with him, just, it's a little overwhelming for him to come up and do vocals in front of this crowd. But once you're locked in, and nothing stops you.
Yeah. No, I could vibe with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Eric just basically looked at it and just kind of, it is what it is. Let show must go on, kind of thing.
Yeah, he rolled with it. He did so good with it. And then at the end of it, it's like, actually, Gretsch looked pretty good on him. So
they do that.
Oh my God, it was so nice. It's kind of white, like beigey, and oh my God, it's such a nice guitar. And yeah, he just rolled with it so good, and something about that, he's a natural with it. And like I said, you gotta see one of these live shows. We're in Brandon 2 weeks from now, right? But you gotta see a live show with Eric. He's nuts.
Well, I'm hoping to hit your Brandon show and then the EP release. I'll be there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a couple good shows coming up same weekend, unfortunately, but luckily we play the Tap House, and the Tap House runs till 2, so the other one shuts down at 11. So hopefully we get the crowd from the other one come over to ours as well and pack the place.
Yeah, no, that'll be nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then the band you're in, Valley Narrow,
Mm-hmm.
what do they have going on?
Oh my God. So we released Siren 4 weeks ago. Released Siren. We're amazed. This is gonna sound like whoop-de-doo, but it's got 350 some plays now. There's 81 monthly listeners. I'm sure 75 of them are family members, but it has been played Canada, all over Canada, east to west coast, some states, and Reykjavik, Iceland.
Nice.
I love that one. I may have handed that though. I placed it in like an online radio rotation, and I got one spin. And then I'm sure they were like, "This isn't Bjork," so I'm sure they.
Yeah. Oops.
I love Bjork though, so I'm okay. I think that's all I'm trying to do is just getting an opening slot for Bjork's next Icelandic tour. So, but yeah, so we're pretty proud of it. We got the Runaway coming out on Friday. That is a fan favorite. Anyone who's come to our shows, we get to the Runaway, and that seems to kind of get things going. And so yeah, we got those coming out. Obviously, got the EP release coming out February 22nd. No, sorry, 21st. 22nd is the actual show where we will be playing with Pure Entry. Where those are my guys. I love Pure Entry. We got a couple shows with them. 5 More Miles. Our drummer is part of 5 More Miles, Southern rock band. They're playing side stage this week. Looking forward to that. And then Valence, who I spoke of earlier, my 2 friends doing a acoustic gig. They're going to start off the night this Saturday at Park Theater with Saints and Rogues and Lost Planet Airmen and Sackawine. That's going to be a good one. That's the biggest stage we've played. Looking forward to that. It's half-hour set. We're going to bring the best of the best of our originals for that one. Brandon, Eastside Eatery with Turbocharged Caravan in last place. Last place, my buddy's the drummer in last place. They got us on the bill. It's going to be a heavier night, so we're going to start the night and kind of ease people into it. So
Eastside Eatery is really, really nice venue. We, my old band that I played in before, Danny and I formed Blindside. We actually opened for friends in Eastside Eatery.
cool.
It's actually, yeah, it's a nice venue, right? Like it's what you'd expect. It's kind of behind a restaurant. So, I mean, it's not huge like an arena or anything, right? But it is a nice kind of intimate venue where you can relax, you can rock out. It's full of metalheads half the time. Like
Yeah.
you can have a good time there, right? Full bar. Oh, nice.
Yeah. That sounds good. And you know what? They post food daily, and it all looks so good.
Right.
And I think we're looking forward to eating actually. And then what else do we got? Park Theater, we got that. Valentine's, yeah, nothing on Valentine's Day. We left it for the ladies, you know, the wives and the girlfriends.
Yeah.
We had to leave it open for them. And then of course, here's one for you. It hasn't been announced, so I will give you the debut of it. And I won't announce this for a bit still, but May 24th, we'll be playing the Osborne Tap House again with a band called Impasse and Retrograde. They're phenomenal.
They're good.
Phenomenal. Chris, their vocalist, he's like the funniest person I've ever met. But man, their songs are good. But we're playing with them and 1 or 2 other bands. Haven't got yet, but it's my wife's birthday weekend, so she loves Impasse. So we got Impasse in there, and I think they're dedicating their entire set to her, and apparently writing a song for her. So
Nice.
Yeah, putting a little pressure on me, but we got that. So there's your debut. I probably won't announce that for a bit, so but we'll have it on here. You need a little debut of something on here, right? So if the debut episode gets a debut announcement, so. Yeah, we got that. And then, of course, we'll get to this one, but the Peg City Soundoff Summerfest, 9 bands, Osborne Tap House. It's going to go for p.m. till 2 a.m., but 9 bands back to back to back to back. Tickets are going to be available soon. There's sponsors happening. There's a lot going on with that night. I'm so excited. Middle of summer, the doors open. Pray the sun is shining. Even if it rains, it's Osborne Village. It's great. And yeah, that's what. And then there's some other things that are eventually going to happen, but nothing's set in stone. Even though some people are posting about it already, so I'll wait till it's set in stone.
So then back to like kind of all band dynamics, stuff like that. Like kind of walk people through your writing process. Like when you sit down to first birth a new song, kind of how that flows for you.
Well, here's the thing. We have a different dynamic here. Jeff, I just want to say this is really cool, by the way. I like this. I'm more on this side of things, being asked the questions. I'm usually the guy asking them. And I love on my podcast when people ask me stuff, because it's like, I don't expect it. This is amazing, though. But yeah, Valley and Arrow, the reality of it is Eric has written all these songs. And, you know, this is a great story we tell people. Eric came over here. So we basically formed with Desi and Eric, kind of met. They're childhood friends, but I guess they reconnected last year and started working on some songs together and realized that Eric's got this knack for songwriting and he's got this great voice. So Desi said, I got to bring you over to Joel's house. We got to meet him. So he brought him over here, and he just played these songs. And there's a song called Sound and Fury that is on Spotify. We don't play it live. I think we've done it once live, maybe twice. And he brought the song, and it was just so mysterious and dark. And I ended up laying a piano track on the back half of it. And so he brought the song, and then there's another song. There's a song called The Woods. And I want you to remember the song called The Woods, because something's going to happen with The Woods. And is the second song. But Eric brought these songs almost as folk singer-songwriter songs. And then Desi, with his amazing mind of music, has taken them and crafted different areas of them. Left the main root of it, but crafted certain things. And then I just kick on the overdrive pedal. So and put some lead stuff over top of it and make it a rock song, right? And there's only one song that probably one song, yeah, that was written from all three of us, and that is a song called Witching Hour, which is on the EP. And it was kind of a crazy story. Me and Eric wrote kind of the same riff for a song, but we didn't know each other did it. We just I played it a week before, and he was like playing it, and then we kind of got together and we were talking about this idea, and it turned out we had the same idea for something. And of course, Desi went on this bass run and turned into our first song we wrote as a group. And then, of course, Desi has a song called Shine On that he wrote before we got together, and we kind of crafted that one up. And yeah, so songwriting process, it I guess essentially starts with Eric. And this is something we're going to work on for our second EP, though, where we'll all be involved. But Eric just happened to have 9 songs written before, so we just took what he had, turned them into rock songs, and it's kind of where we're at now. So
okay,
yeah.
So it kind of goes Eric, Desi, then you, and then you get PJ in there to kind of just bang away and work his own kind of musical stylings.
And here's the thing with PJ. PJ is a phenomenal drummer. He is so, I say the word all the time. I forget what the word is, but he's
very versatile, right? Like you could put him in the moment, or you could just say, here, work with this, and he just boom, 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 boom.
You get what you get with PJ, and that is you get a steady beat. He doesn't fall off. He's so in the pocket all the time, right? He's always dialed in, and he's a great visionary for it too. And he's played in multiple different bands, and he's played different styles. And we know what we get with PJ, but the unfortunate part of PJ is he lives out in Gimli right now, and he is moving back in the city. He's actually moving in this weekend. He has done some work on his house and he's back in. So PJ's never lived in the city while this band has existed. So for him to be involved has been pretty hard. His first time playing with us, he didn't even know the songs, and we played a benefit thing outside, and he just kind of showed up with the drum kit, and we said, well, just kind of follow along. Poor guy. And that's the great thing about him is with him coming back in, the songwriting will change a little bit. There will probably be a bit of harmonica because he's a phenomenal harmonica player too. So it may take a little bit of a turn in a couple areas, different than where we're at right now. But we haven't really existed as a full band getting together and songwriting, because it's just been really hard, because when PJ's in, we're just practicing the songs, especially with all the shows coming up and the recording. And, it was a few months of just shows and hammering out the same 5 songs to get ready for the recording. And obviously you're aware of that we came in and it was a day and a morning, basically, in the middle of that big blizzard. Yeah, we got that done. So yeah, we're looking forward to writing some stuff. We got some songs that were left off the EP that maybe shouldn't have been. I think one of them is maybe a better song than one was on the EP, but that's my own opinion. But that just means it goes on number 2. So
there you go.
Yeah, looking forward to it. But we're gonna work on some writing. There's some songs that we have that we'll probably never record for an EP. That are more just live gems, but we're definitely interested in writing, and like I said, we're busy right now, but we're gonna run into a couple months where we're not, and we'll probably take that time to write and start working on the next one eventually. And this time we'll probably take our time with it. It won't be going out there and banging out a day and a half. It'll probably be like, it'll probably take some time and make sure we're doing things right, and just not rushing it, making sure we're putting the best out we can.
Yeah, do it on a summer weekend so you don't have to stress about weather, eh?
That was the worst drive ever. 60
I
kilometers.
believe it.
60 kilometers. I think the highest we got from Neepawa to Winnipeg was 80 kilometers, and that was on the better half of Eli.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was just awful. We had the right vehicles for it. Yeah. If we had little cars or something, we had a truck and a loaded up Wrangler. So we had the right vehicle.
Yeah, there you go. So then, just for people out there, do you want to kind of give a rundown of what it's like to even be a part of a band? Like as it starts, to growing it, to writing, to the dynamics, all the way straight through until like how you even land new gigs after you play your first one.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I just got off a call with a person before I jumped on here talking about business. And I told them that I'm in this band and I run it like it's a business. And you shouldn't always have to do that, but I do. It's we got merch out there. We've obviously paid for some recording stuff, and I think that's the thing is I'm not sure how other bands do it, but for us, what we bring in, whether it's selling toques or the shirts we got, or we're getting paid for these gigs and stuff, we don't do an even split of, hey, this person gets this person gets this. We don't do that. It goes collectively in a pool. And for me, I'm just such a business person. Anyone who knows what I do for work understands this. I'm a very business style person, so I actually treat a band like a business too, and I actually really enjoy that. But I feel that in the past I've maybe been a bit of a control freak, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I can be, right? And I feel with Valley Narrow, I'm not, because, well, one, I didn't write the songs, right? It's Eric's songs, but I contribute. I'm part of this, but I find that I'm not as much of a control person with it, because I love the vision that everyone has. We got a little group chat, and I just looked at my phone. I see there's something in there. God knows what it's going to be, but these guys are younger than me by a bit, and I just find that we're on such a good page together. I know what we're after. Eric knows what he's after. Desi knows what he's after. They have big plans. But I think one of the parts I love so much about it is everyone respects each other and what we're doing, right? For myself, I'm kind of the promotional guy. I maybe don't contribute to writing the songs, but not to take anything from the other guys, but they know this as well, that I'm the one who's picking up these gigs. I'm the one who's going out there getting them, right? And a lot of that contributes to the podcast as well. But that's just the thing, is we all respect each other. I know that Eric's going to come in here in 2 weeks from now, and he's going to have another song. Actually, I know he is, because he already been talking about it. But I know he's going to come in with another song. I know Desi's going to construct it. I know Desi's going to lay the craziest bass line on this thing. And I know he's going to sit right here in this little stool he always sits on. And he's going to come up with this really cool bass line for it. I know PJ's going to come in and he's going to structure his drums so well. Just every hit counts, right? And that's what I love about being in this band is everyone has a responsibility, and everyone knows that the other person is going to succeed in that responsibility. So just talking about lining up shows, yeah, like our first show, I don't even really like to call it a show. A couple minor charity style things we did when we didn't even know who we were, and I just played a couple songs. But I'm going to say our first show was on a Thursday night, and I believe it was in September, maybe. We played the Tap House, talking to Riley Saunders about the Tap House, and he got us in the Tap House, and we were the headliners that night. I think we went on at like 11 o'clock, and we played these songs, and everyone was like, it was a big thing. And I remember looking around like, oh my God, like people are digging it. We're playing the Tap House, like an iconic place in Winnipeg, my favorite place in Winnipeg. And so we played Tap House on a New Music Thursday. There were some cool bands, one called Fox and Sound. Great people. And I could probably talk forever about them. And then a band called Radio Riders that have some original members that do their own thing. And then they did some covers, and fantastic. And right there, it was like, wow, people are digging this. I remember looking over and I saw Riley. Riley was watching these. He was digging it too, right? And I'm like, wow, Riley Saunders, one of my most respected promoters in the city, who just promotes. He loves Winnipeg. He loves Winnipeg scene. And I thought, wow, he's into it. Great job, guys. This is great. And then from there, another person you may talk to one day, Ruth Morris, she lined up a gig at Side Stage, which is a new venue down Osborne Village, and awesome place. So played there with 5 More Miles and Empath and Retrograde, and it was a phenomenal show. And then next thing you know, we got Bulldog. We're playing with 3 really heavy bands, and maybe we had no place in it, but that's the thing about Winnipeg music, is everyone kind of respects each other too, right? And everyone supports, and so Ruth got us some shows, and then the next thing you know, we played last weekend Tap House with a band called Ledwin and Matt Corey from Brandon. What a monster that guy is.
Good, very good.
Oh, he's so good. Oh my God, he did some covers, and I love originals, but when someone delivers a cover like Ordinary World from Duran Duran, Shout from Tears for Fears, Man in the Box, he did Meat Plow from Stone Temple Pilots. Oh my God, I can't even oh, it's so good. He's so good. I love that guy. He's also one of the nicest people, and man, if you want to have a talk about music with someone, like that guy can go for a long time.
Well, I even a funny thing about Matt actually, before I got really, really busy there and had our new little one and stuff, Matt actually was he was a guitar teacher for me, teaching me like actual better chords, everything else, right? So then we kind of had that relationship, because he's played some of the shows for the studio and the initiative and stuff, and then plus, of course, he used to teach me different things on guitar too, right? So it's kind of cool to watch him actually showcase what he teaches.
I'm just gonna say, and I mean it in the nicest way possible, but those poor students, Like to be learning from a guy like that and be like, oh, one day I'll be as good as him. Like, dude, you're probably not going to be as good as him. I'm sorry. He's so good.
Guitarist. You go into it trying to learn as much as you can from someone with that type of talent.
Yeah.
And you take what he gives you and interpret it your way and just run with it, right? Like, I mean,
yeah, exactly, right. And so we played tap house, but this last show was different. It was we were asked to play. And sorry, I missed the Royal Albert. We played the Royal Albert too, but this is probably what got it. Was we played the Royal Albert with a band called Leadwind and Pure Entry, of course. Pure Entry's on half our shows. I love those guys. But Leadwind asked us to play, and this is the socializing and the marketing you almost have to do for yourself. Is you gotta talk to people, meet people. We brought Leadwind in on a show. If they return the favorites, like, hell yeah, man, that's awesome. Now we got 2 shows, and they were also a phenomenal band. They're a bunch of young guys. If you've seen my podcast, they've been on there, I think twice now, 3 times maybe. I love those guys. The young guys, super talented. But yeah, that's how it happens. Then this weekend we got the Park Theater, and we were asked by a band called Saints and Rogues to go on that. And I really didn't feel like doing another show. I thought, okay, let's just calm it for a minute, and then they asked them like and then they're like Park Theater. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll be there, don't worry. I don't even think I confirmed with all the members. I just said, yeah, we'll be there. We'll find a way. So yeah, that's kind of, I feel the Winnipeg thing, you can't sit back and wait for it to happen, because it's not going to happen. People are just going to call you for no reason. You got to market yourself out there. You got to talk to people. And when this does air, I don't want people to get the wrong idea and think that I'm doing this to take advantage of people. That's not what it's like at all. I'm a true lover of Winnipeg music and the people involved in it. But that's the reality of it. And people know that you can't just sit there and everyone's going to call you. That's not going to happen. You got to get yourself out there. You got to market yourself. You got to network, right? Like last Thursday, I went to the Osborne Tap House. I didn't know any of the bands. Actually, I did know one of the bands. Run Its Course was playing. Matt Evenson's band. I'm sure you know Matt.
Yeah.
So his band was playing. So I sat and chat with him for a bit. It's like, man, like my brother grew up with you, but I really don't know him. But I've met him before. But I went and chatted with him, and that stuff right there, that is how you network, right? And that was, I'm looking for other bands to play with eventually. It's like, cool, Run Its Course. Yeah, good guys. That was a great chat. You know what? And I even said to them, hey, I might have something come up later on this year. I'll reach out to you. And it's stuff like that, right? That I know that I can call them. They'll probably come in and play. Hopefully they do, because they sound fantastic. And hopefully one day they turn around and have a show and they call us and say, hey, you want to come play? Yeah, sure. But that's what you got to do. You got to network. And the city is full of the most supportive people. And if you run into the ones that aren't supportive, that's unfortunate. But from what I know, and I call a lot of these bands the Tap House bands, and that's what's coming in July, is what we call the Tap House bands. Bands that play the Tap House. Bands that if you go to the Tap House and you see Pure Entry playing, well, you're going to see members of Leadwind. You'll probably see members of Northern Royals. You probably see Ronnie. Well, you should hopefully see Ronnie Ladderbrook. But there was a couple of weeks ago, Ashton the Arsonist played there, and it was Winnipeg royalty of these Tap House people. There's members from Sunbreather, Northern Royals, Leadwind, Pure Entry, Ronnie Ladderbrook was there. Like everyone who's on this summer festival that's coming up in July, almost all of them had at least one member there, and that's why I call them the Tap House bands, and I love it. And that's the reality of Winnipeg. You got to market yourself. You got to talk to the right people, and you got to support. Don't expect people to come to your show if you're not going to go to theirs. And if you do that, it's not going to work out in the end, right? You got to go support. Tomorrow night there's a band called Car 287. I've heard one or two songs from them, but they're supporting other people. They're always doing things. I'll probably end up there for their set because, hey man, they're out doing their thing. They deserve it too, and super nice guys too.
Well, that seems to be most of the music scene in general, right? Like, yeah. Even not just Winnipeg exclusively. Like, you look Westman, stuff like that too. Like, you kind of got to get out there and you want to be able to play with bands and, you know, build a roster and all these things. You need to be able to get out there and socialize and support on every avenue, right? Rather, it's like the industry professional side of me, for example, studio wise, like talking to people in bands like yourself, or, you know, Matt Corey, or attending Manitoba Loud Music Awards, or, you know, things like that. And that's how, well, I get my bread and butter essentially, right? Is just talking to guys and they go, hey, I like his vibe. I like what he's about, what he stands for. We're going to go deal with him. And then on the musician side, same thing, right? Like when you and I talked briefly about, well, when Blindside's up and running, you'll have to check it out. Maybe we'll play a show together, right? Like,
absolutely.
And that's kind of, I kind of have the same vibe when it comes to Winnipeg or even Westman in general.
Yeah.
No matter as a whole, really.
And, you know, just about supporting too. And I don't know if you've seen it yet. I hope you have. There's a playlist out there on Spotify. And sorry, it's on Spotify, and I know we're getting paid like 0.003 cents. But there's a playlist. There's a playlist on Spotify. We're up 31 cents on the last year, right? So good for us. But there's there's a playlist called Manitoba Music. I created it, and it is all these Manitoba bands. Your Midnight Renegades on there actually, but it's called Manitoba Music. I believe it is. It was originally Winnipeg Music. Then I realized there's more to the province than Winnipeg, and and I'm constantly adding music to it, and it's just you know, it's such a great thing, and I challenge people when they do watch this that if you haven't seen this Manitoba Music, like put it on, listen to the playlist. There's some good music out there. I discovered this. Doug MacArthur, he plays with Radio Riders, but he also does some solo stuff. He's got this song, and forgive me, I can't remember the name. It's like My Hermit Life or something. It's a phenomenal song. And like, I'm sure at the end of the year on the Spotify Wrapped or whatever, it'll be in my top 100. And it's just, I ran across it by just grabbing these Manitoba bands and then I had a post about it, and people were like, hey, can you put my music on there? Put my music on there, put mine. And now I forget how many bands are, and I'm missing so many. But the amount of outreach, people just trying to get out there, right? And then the next thing you know, there's a band called the Zaps on there. Never heard of the Zaps, so they messaged me and said, hey, can you put on? And now it's like, you know, I talked to the guys from the Zaps, and hopefully I'll line up a show with them one day. So, you know, once again, it's just, you got to support each other. You can't expect to be supported if you don't give it back.
Well, exactly. So then with the whole support side, hopefully everybody kind of understands that there's a lot of personality that needs to go into being a musician alongside of course, our equipment bills are everything else, right?
You never get what you put in. If you get what you put in, then you've made it.
Well, that's the way I've looked at it too. Yeah, if you could actually pay for your guitar on one show, you're laughing.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna just retract that statement for a second by saying you've made it. If you get what you put in, if you make back what you have put in your life into music, then you are financially successful. I will say. I won't say you made it because you know what? There's so many bands in Winnipeg that you know what, they've made it. You know, I'll plug Northern Royals for a second. Northern Royals just played Lethbridge at the end of summer. They played with Our Lady Peace, I Mother Earth, Headstones. Like, and you know, like my first concert was I Mother Earth, 1997 at the Winnipeg Arena. That was my first concert, and these guys, Evan from the Northern Royals was in my basement here, like, you know, 6 months ago, talking with me in the basement on a podcast, and then he goes and opens for I Mother Earth and Our Lady Peace, and you know, it's stuff like that where by saying you've made it doesn't always mean you've made it. You're a star. You've made it. What did you set out to accomplish as a band, and did you get where you'd hope to? Right. I'm never going to expect us. We're not going to sell the MTS Center. That's just the reality of it. You got to face the reality of it. But did we make it? Did we go and release an album. And it's kind of like, what, we did this. We started last April. We got the EP out. We played a bunch of shows. We made a lot of friends in music, and it's kind of like we've done what we've set out to do, right? Like I said, I don't think we're ever going to sell out the Canada Life Center here, but in our heads, it's like, what, we've accomplished so much. We say it all the time. We've accomplished so much in such a short time, and like I said earlier in the episode here, that we've had 300 listeners. We've had this song Siren played all over the place. We got The Runaway coming out. Who knows what happens with that one? But yeah, get played in Iceland. It's like cool. Some poor bugger over there is eating a fish sandwich and listening to Siren,
Yeah.
I love it. I love the thought of that. Probably not a fish sandwich, because I'm pretty sure they don't have fast food over there. Unless he made it,
Well, he might have made it himself.
He may have made it himself. There you go. I'm just envisioning what they eat over there. I don't know. I want to go, though. I really want to. I want to go to Iceland sometime.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool. There's like a blue lagoon there. It's like you can't like put your head underwater or something. I don't know. Weird, but it looks good. My wife tells me it looks good.
So then, any other new and exciting stuff for Valley Narrow other than EP release and stuff?
No, I'm just gonna start writing some stuff, and that's Valley Narrow until there's more. But I'll tell you one thing: we came blasting out of 2024. We're ready to kill 2025. This is our year. We got a lot going on, and this is just the start of it. We're busy right now, but we're just getting started. So
good.
Yeah.
And you also run the Peg City Soundoff too. So why don't you tell everybody about that?
That is something I wish I did years ago. I have so much fun with it. I've met so many good people with it. So Peg City Soundoff started off. I actually was helping out a group called the Boneyard out of Ontario. Great group of people. I was doing some stuff for them, and I don't know if I annoyed them or something. There was never a falling out or anything, but I started nabbing all these Winnipeg bands, Winnipeg. Then they lined me one up with the band called The Dude, and it had like 10,000 viewers in the first hour or something. I'm like, I've never even heard of this band, but they're big down in Florida and southern states, I guess, and pretty sure they played with Slipknot and a couple other bands, but I kept roping them back into Winnipeg, and then eventually, in my control freakness, I was never the one who actually organized the bands. I'd always send the info, and then they'd reach out, and then I just thought, what if I started my own thing? So it was like, I think it was August 1st. I made the announcement the Peg City Soundoff was going to start, and then September 2nd, I believe, was the first one, and I thought, it's not going to be a Winnipeg thing. It's just going to be based out of Winnipeg. And I had this girl from Nashville, fantastic, Jade Jackson. Saw her years ago, open for Social Distortion, and I've been a fan ever since. And I'm not a country guy, but I've been a fan. She kind of brings that old school vibe, and I had her on, and I thought it was really cool. And then I had John Emerson on, who's a world famous author. Sorry, I was kind of looking to see if his book was here. I was going to plug him for a minute here, so I'm going to plug him. Give me 1 second. John Emerson, his band, I forget, God, you can kill me if he found out I forgot about this. His band opened for Zeppelin in the 70s, but what a cool guy, though. He writes all these books, and this one here, I'm horrible with cameras for what it's worth. This is basically it's a story of Buffalo Springfield, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm a big 60s California fan, and he wrote this book with Richie Furay from Buffalo Springfield. Really cool. But what a wealth of knowledge this guy had. And he was my second one. He was supposed to be the debut episode, but then Jade said she was available or something. I'm like, I'm not turning this one down. But I hope to have John on again in the spring. He's got another book coming out. So anyway, like I said, anyone who really knows me for a long time knows my love of 60s and what musical revelation I had from the 60s California, which led me to going to California to visit these places where all these bands started out. And I do it every year now. So yeah, so I had John on, and then it just started turning into this Winnipeg thing. Where John, he's from Winnipeg, but it started turning into all these Winnipeg bands. The next thing you know, I got this band Sunbreather on. I'm such a Sunbreather fan, and I hope they watch this because I freaking love that band. And they're a funk band. And I'm also not into funk, but I love this band. But I had them on, and then it starts turning into the coveralls, the cover band from Winnipeg here. The Pure Entry's been on a few times. Leadwind, Empass, and Retrograde has been on. There's just so many good bands in Winnipeg, and then it turned into the Peg City Soundoff was Winnipeg. It was about Winnipeg, and that's all it was Winnipeg. And there's been times where it's like, I'm going to try and get this band. I'm going to try and get this band, but I can't. I'm so locked into Winnipeg, and I don't know what Alberta's music scene is in BC. I've never really got into it. I know it's good. But I feel that Winnipeg is this hidden gem of music here. And I haven't even touched the tip of it. I've got these groups. I went to the Loud Awards. You spoke of the Loud Awards. I went to the Loud Awards and I thought I'm going to know everyone. I walked in there. I didn't know anyone. I'm hearing all these bands I've never seen before. Bands are playing live. This Ramskull band. Ramskull is so good. They're so heavy, but they're so good. Sans Regret. The Haleys. There's so many good bands in Winnipeg that I haven't had on the show yet, but I want to eventually. And it just turned into such a Winnipeg thing. And the great thing about it is, being in Winnipeg, I go places and I see these people that I've never met in person, but I've talked to them like I'm talking to you right now. And I haven't met these people before. And then the next thing you know, I see them. Callum and his and the vocalist from Sunbreather, Anna, I met them a few weeks ago, but I had them on the show 4 months ago, and then I met them in person, and it's like, Matt, this is you. This is you. This is so cool to meet these people, and I have some shows that we've probably got, and meeting people have probably come through it, and it's probably, to be honest, probably helped our band Valley Narrow a bit with it, but it's got so much. It's got so much momentum right now. I remember probably September 2nd, that first show with Jade had no real followers, maybe 20, 30 followers. They were all family and stuff. And now we're at 412 followers on it. And, we're mid-episode and there's a little chat screen. People start talking. And then the guest starts talking with those people in the chat. And now you can put the chat comments across the screen, and we have such a good time with it. And it actually adds a couple of minutes to every episode because we're kind of looking at the chat and people are saying, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And this band is so cool and this and this and it's such a cool thing. It's turned into such a fun thing. And this Sunday I got a band called Goon on, and I don't know any of the guys from Goon. I know that the singer's in a band called Sleepless, which I absolutely love, but I've never met these guys. And that's half the fun of it, is just meeting new people. But with that being said, every time I meet someone new, it's like, who are you listening to? And they name off 5 bands I've never heard from Winnipeg. So I say this is a Winnipeg thing, and it's probably going to continue to be a Winnipeg thing or a Manitoba thing. But there's so many bands out there and so many people to have on this thing. Plus, you'll have multiple guests as their careers go on, right? And there's a lot of new albums coming out this year. So the great part is I probably have 5 years worth of people. If I do one a week, I probably got 5 years worth of people to bring on. And as it keeps going, more bands come out. This is something we plan on doing for a long time. And, you saw my mug earlier and got little business cards hanging out there. I threw all over the tap house last weekend. But yeah, it's Peg City Soundoff. It's just such a fun thing. It's all shot down here. If I may bring some news to it, a couple of people might know about this, but there are some sponsors coming up. I have a green screen. They're going to be behind me. There's a couple of breweries that might come in where I will have their logo behind me, and maybe a product in my hand if I can. First the first place that signed on is Studio 23, and they're going to sponsor May. And I'm going to try and grow this. But it doesn't grow just me. It has to grow with the community. It has to grow with supportive people. I got to make sure people are still watching, so I got to keep it fresh, right? And keeping it fresh means new ideas. There's a lot of new stuff coming. There's going to be some live, as you know, the podcast is live, but there's going to be some live band footage coming. There's always something else coming. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to put all my eggs in a basket and I'm going to do a summer fest. And I teased a summer festival about 3 weeks ago. I teased it for a couple posts, just saying, hey, what if someone did a summer festival and it gained so much traction? And I thought, oh my God, now I'm kind of committed. And then I teased it again. And it was a night after I was at the tap house. And I saw all these cool Winnipeg musicians there. And I teased it again and said, wouldn't it be cool if all those people played in the same room together? And then that just sent it spiraling. And I thought, now I got to do this. I'm all in now. And here we are. I made the poster the other day, if you saw it, the Peg City Soundoff Summer Fest. And 9 bands, tap house, 4 till 2. Sponsors are coming in. It's going to be a wild night. I've got together a little team of people that are going to help me because, you know, I could probably do it by myself, but the thing with the Peg City Soundoff is it may be one person behind this camera, but it's all about the community that makes it happen. So I'm trying to get everyone involved in this scene that I can. And whether it's someone calling sponsors, which Thomas Henry, I'm going to shout out Thomas Henry right now. He's the super fan of Winnipeg. I joke he's the super fan. He's such a nice person. He goes to all these shows. Thomas Henry is just an amazing person. He's doing a bit of sponsor calls for me. Luke Clement, he's going to be involved with helping me with some gear, and he knows a lot of people, but he's another fantastic guy, producer in the city here. He's going to help. But whether you're helping me with the gear or you're calling sponsors, or before every band, I plan on having someone come up and introduce the band. I'm trying to get as many people in this local scene that I can involved in this, because I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for that. If 400 people unfollow me, do I keep doing it, right? It's for the support of the community, and I have no intention on making money off this. You know, it costs me money to do it, so there are sponsors coming in, which is going to help. I have no intention on making this for my own benefit. I do this to support the community, and the messages I get from people I don't even know. I had one today from a person who just said, "I love what you're doing for this community," and it's like, I've never met this guy in my life, but it's recognized, right? And it's just such a cool thing. I love Winnipeg. I love the music scene here. I challenge Winnipeg's music scene to challenge any city or province in Manitoba, including Ontario. You know, I think Winnipeg is the best scene, and there's so many good bands coming. We don't even know it. There's some band in their basement right now, a bunch of 12-year-olds in their basement right now, and in 8 years from now, they're gonna be the best band in Winnipeg. So yeah, that's kind of what the Peg City Soundoff is all about, is just getting out there, supporting each other. And you know, it's been September to the end of January, and I haven't had I had one negative thing. And I do apologize to that band if they do watch this, that there was a negative comment made. But that band is coming on, and we're going to talk about how successful they have been. And then you know, it's all about love of the music scene, and you know, anyone watching this who's not in Winnipeg and who hasn't come out and seen these bands that are part of the bill there, I suggest you do come out for that, or just check out Winnipeg in general. You'll be pleasantly surprised with how welcoming the people are.
That's well said. Yeah. I know when I first started creating the dream that Frozen Fire, right, was kind of dabbled a little bit in the rural communities and stuff. And it's kind of, you get that feeling of, are you doing the right thing? Did I risk it all for the right thing? You know? And then it was Indigo played the Bulldog, and like
Yeah.
I walked into that building, and it was, they kind of looked at me, and then they kind of looked me up and down, and they're Frozen Fire, right? And I'm sitting there like, you know who I am? And then they just made me feel like family from there on out, right? And then it's any show I attend, or fundraiser, award show, anything like that. It seems soon as you walk in those doors, you are a part of a developing future. You're not just, that's just the sound guy, or it's just the engineer, right? And that's it's like your family, right? They're giving you like bro hugs and everything else on the way through, and be like, oh, hey, we caught this the other week. Way to go, man. Good job.
Yeah, man. And that's cool. Way to plug Indigo there too, right? They're playing the Bulldog again soon. End of February or something. But what a cool band. I don't have it. I was gonna say I have Indigo gear, but we had a merch giveaway on the Peg City Soundoff, and someone won the merch, which you also won merch to that. So when I see you next time,
I think.
But you can't go to that show. You got to come to ours. But there's a toque.
That's why I said just pass it off to somebody.
There's a toque and there's some CDs. Yeah, and this is my way of making sure they don't get 2 extra people to their show. let me tell you a quick story here, Jeff, about support in the music community and meeting people, and this one means a lot to me. And this is just about meeting people in the community and it turning from this to this to this. And so it was last year at the Carberry homecoming. My band Ion Crush went out there, and we met a guy out there who was doing sound, which is Jeff Descender right here. And we go from meeting you, and you're a phenomenal sound guy. I got to give it to you. I have not played an outside festival, and I don't care who watches this. I haven't played an outside thing with such a good sound guy. You were on top of it just like that. You were so good, and everyone that day in that group agrees how great you were of a sound person.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You just did such a good job, and we actually talked about it last weekend. Me and Desi were talking about it. We're like, man, Jeff was such a good sound guy for that. And we're like, there's the McGregor one, and all the love to the people in McGregor, but we're like, this year, if we do McGregor, we should tell him to bring Jeff out for it. But we loved having you as a sound guy. But this is the community support. Is we go out there, we meet you. What happens next? We're talking to you about, hey, can we come out and record with you? Then we record with you. We do the EP. The EP is coming out, and now I'm sitting here talking to you. And this is one of those things that I know. Always have your support as Valley Narrow and with the Peg City Soundoff. I know we're always going to have your support. You're always liking, you're always doing your thing with it, right? You're sharing stuff. I know we're always going to have your support, and you know that you're always going to have our support as well. And that is one of those cool things that they went from just meeting, the sound guy who was tired that day. And I'm so glad you did get someone else in, because we might not be here right now talking, right?
That's a huge shout out, considering, I was up for 14 and a half hours straight and exhausted running homecoming.
It was great.
So imagine me at my prime then, huh? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. And you know what? But that's one of those things that you may have had someone come in and may not have been as great of a sound person, but we wouldn't have met you, which probably went to, just being honest with you, we may not have been at your place recording. We could have been somewhere else, and then we do that, and now I feel we've become friends here, and we still talk, and here we are doing this now, and we're here now talking about this, and we have a bit of a history with us now. And it started with you being the sound guy and us being like, man, this guy's pretty cool. He does good.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It's all support.
Yeah. And a big shout out to Frozen Fire and everything you do. you got your sober social. You have so much. You were talking about it on our little break there, and you do so much. So a big shout out to you and people like it's people like you. You're always supporting people, and that is the word of the day is support, right? And that's the word of every day when we're talking about music in Winnipeg is support. I said it earlier. You can't get support if you don't give the support, and that's something that I hope you always have as people support with things, and clearly you do because you're winning awards and you're up for nominations all the time. So clearly someone's out there supporting you, right?
Someone supports me somewhere. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just do what I do because I love what I do, and next thing
yeah.
you know, nomination or here's this award, and it's kind of whoa, what the hell is happening?
That's so cool. That's so cool. And you got a great place out there. We had a good time in our short stint out there, and that was a good NEPO experience. We had 2 different hotels. We had Boston pizza both nights. The hotel thing was weird. Like, I swear there was no cars in the parking lot, but for some reason we couldn't get 2 nights at the same hotel. But you know what? It all worked out. But that was a great time. We had a great time that weekend. I'm glad we came out there, and it was good for the band too. We bonded. And like I said earlier, we've never really been the 4 of us together working on music. We didn't work on music that, at the hotel, but we talked and we played some board game, and the look on PJ's face when Eric pulled up this board game, PJ gave him a look like, you better not think I'm jumping in on that. And we had a good time. It was just a great weekend, and we bonded, and then we bonded on an extended drive home as well. so yeah, big shout out to you and what you do for the community out there and just everywhere, right?
Well, yeah, appreciate it, man. It's kind of the same, and like I said in that live, like PC, I call it PC Soundoff, but Peg City Soundoff, things like that, Manitoba Loud Awards, those types of things that come from the minds and the fruition of people that have grown up in kind of that music scene and not, corporate funded and all that type of stuff, where it's actually an individual that bursts it and pushes forward and kind of helps bring, these bigger corporations to realize, like, we may buy your stuff because we have nowhere else to buy it, but we have the heart going into this, right? Whereas the corporations are, well, they just want your payouts.
Yeah.
So it's people like that make a load of difference. Like, I'm not a political person, I'm not a corporate hater or nothing, but I mean, I think we both can kind of agree that corporations normally care about the dollar signs and not the individuals that handle it, right? And that's a lot of where I think you and, like Dag from Badlands and stuff with his baby of Manitoba Loud, where you guys need the pat on the back and the kudos too, for people to realize, like, this is complicated, pardon the language, but complicated shit to put together this stuff, right? Like, it's not a case of we just sit down one day and click 2 buttons on a bloody computer, and next thing you know, boom, it bursts the whole damn thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And how about Dag, what he's put together for that? I talked with him. God, I shouldn't even go on record with this. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and like, that guy's committed. He's committed to
breathes the local scene, man. Like, he is full-blown committed. It's not even just local scene, right? Like, I called on Dag because my sober social last year, I was like, shit, I'm down an engineer because I can't do it. I'm the head of the initiative, right? Like, I'm the face of the whole thing. I have to be present. I have to press the flesh. I have to do press interviews. I have to, And then I kind of was like, who can I call? Who can I call? Who can I call? I'm like, Dag. Call Dag last minute. Dag's like, yeah, give me 2 hours. I'll be there. He's like, set up all your stuff the way you want it. Write me a list, and bing, bang, boom, man, I got you back.
Yeah, he's got ideas, and I think so. I'll go on record with this and say this. Last year at the Loud Awards, Dag won Ambassador of the Year, and some people might hate me for this and say, well, this, but he won Ambassador of the Year at his own award show, and I know he knows. This is no secret. He knows there was a bit of a backlash with people saying, oh, rigged. You know what? At first, I'll admit it was a little strange. It's like, first award of the night is given to the guy who's created it. But in reality, shouldn't he be up for it? Just because he created it doesn't mean he's not an ambassador. It doesn't mean
he still attends your shows. He's still, you know what I mean? Like he's still doing the thing he did before Manitoba Loud even existed.
And this is what he does. This isn't like he works like a 9 to 5 and this is what he does in his spare time. Like this is what he does. I had him on the Boneyard podcast, and this is legit what he does, right? And it's like, yeah, man, like go all in, go get it. You know, do what you do, but yeah, and I appreciate what he does. I don't think I saw him in person once. I didn't talk to him. But yeah, you got to appreciate people like that. And I think my appreciation for that really amped up in the last 6 months, just because I've been going out and seeing bands and going out on the scene and meeting people and yeah, he's just a promotional monster. I want to work with that guy. I want to work with him in some capacity, and I will work with him. You're hearing that for the first time. I'm going to work with him in something. I got to put some on because he's, I want to see that guy work because he's, you know, you hear stories. He ended up in Lethbridge for that loud, what was it? Open air or whatever. He ended up in Lethbridge. Like he went out there. I think he was out there for a day.
Too. He goes
yeah,
to like
that's what it was. That's what it was. And it's like, cool, man. I remember seeing a picture of him out there. It's like, he just went out there. So good for him. And, you know, there's more appreciation. There's so many good people in the city. You know who else? I got to give another little bump here to Sid Blum. I'm going to say his name's Blum. Sid Blum.
Yeah.
He runs the Musicians and Friends. What a cool guy. He posted something. He's got like 150 likes on it or something. And someone said something negative on his thing. And it's like, just, you know, no need for that. He's just out promoting stuff. And that guy, he's cool. He messages me every now and then, tells me some bands to check out. And then I kind of sent him down a rabbit hole last week about the band called the Soundoff, which is going to have to be on the Peg City Soundoff. But they're a cool band. They're really cool. I saw them last week and 2 weeks ago. And but yeah, Sid, that's another guy who promotes. And then there's a lady I've never met either, Lisa Lewis. I think she's got Beyond Excellence.
Lifestyles music or Lifestyles 55 radio.
Yeah. There's another thing, but there's so much people there's such good people out there. Yeah, John Emerson, he's posting his, not necessarily just Winnipeg, he's just a wealth of knowledge of music, but he's got John Emerson Remembrance. You got to follow that page. It's like all day just music stuff, and like if you think you know all these quirky little stories, he just throws one in every now and then. But yeah, Sid's another guy that he deserves a lot of credit for what he does too. And yeah, that's just so good. It's good to see people out doing that. And I guess the crazy part, I'm just going to kind of backtrack this to the very start again. But for me, the part where Winnipeg stood out, and I wish I got more involved in it then, was when Riley Saunders did the Live at the Roslyn. And I've said this so many times. That is when I realized that Winnipeg had something. He'd have these bands come and play in the Roslyn apartments. It's like, I don't know how he ever got away with this, but he'd have bands playing in these apartments. They have people like sitting in a half circle, but God, he had some good bands playing in there. And it was on Shaw TV. And I'm like, how's this guy getting away with this in this apartment? But I think that's where Winnipeg really starts standing out. It's like this guy's seen something. What has he seen? And then you start watching some of it. It's like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And some of those bands that played that was pre-COVID.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to say it was pre-COVID. And there was bands playing that are still relevant today. That was my introduction to Ronnie Ladderbrook. And now Ronnie's playing the Summerfest for me. And
another phenomenal musician.
Oh.
Manitoba musician. Yeah.
How about the most humble person in the world too? I was sat with him watching Ash and the Arsonist and Joe Carson. Joe Carson is on another world of a guitarist, but on that same planet as Joe, it's Ronnie Ladderbrook, and he, they run the planet, and and Ronnie looking in just this gaze of how great Joe is, and I'm looking at him like, I idolize you, Ronnie. You're phenomenal. And he's looking at Joe Carson like he's from another world, right? It's like, oh my God, man. There's so many good guitarists. Matt Corey is another one too. And yeah, Ladderbrook, Carson, Joe Carson. God, he's so good. That's what worries me about this festival is I have established this group of bands. Every band has a phenomenal guitarist. And I got to somehow get up there with these guys. God. But yeah, I just can't say it enough about Winnipeg, and you'll see it on the Peg City Soundoff every Sunday for the next little bit. It's usually how we end the show. We talk about Winnipeg and what Winnipeg means and what Winnipeg bands you're listening to. And I would say at least every second episode, someone drops a name on me that I've never heard before. And
Seven String.
Yeah. Oh my God. They're coming up.
Yeah.
They're coming up. I think they're next Wednesday.
Oh, and I absolutely I recommend anybody go and see those boys. Like Kaylin and Sam are just wow. Those guys are incredible.
But don't see them on February 22nd. Come to the Tap House for our show. Don't go to that.
They have a show too, right? Yeah.
They're playing with Ashley Arsonist Custodius. What a show. Oh my God. Oh, I wish they picked a different day. I picked my day first. I don't care what they say. My day was in stone first. But Seven String, they're coming on too. And that's another band, right? Is I know when I have them on, they're going to name drop something, and I'm going to never hear of this band, and then I'm going to find them. And that's what I meant when I said I probably got 5 years of episodes coming in, because there's so many bands in Winnipeg that have gone undiscovered, but someone has heard them. I'll give you this one too. There's a band called Virgo Rising, and I will take this to my grave. They are one of the coolest bands out there. 3 girls. I think there's a guy in there now. 3 girls. I saw them at the Goodwill Social Club years back when I had my trio. We played, and then they went on. I think they went on before or after us. I'm not sure. But anyway, they're the most interesting group. These 3 girls. The one girl sounds like Lord, and she maybe even looks like her a little bit. But then I believe there's like twin sisters. There's a crazy story at the end of this. But they played this song, and everyone was mesmerized watching this. And then you clue in, and the lyrics were like a banana muffin recipe. And I will never forget it because I was so entranced in this group. Multi-instrumentalists. They're so freaking good. And I reached out to them to get them on the podcast, never heard back. But they are so good. And I told this story to a band called the Dust Rhinos, which people have heard of Dust Rhinos, of course. They're legends. Dust Rhinos sat down here, and I told them about this band called Virgo Rising. And at the end of the story, the Dust Rhinos drummer, 2 of them are his kids in that band.
Oh,
Don't be kidding me. I love it. But yeah, that's a band that when I talk about leading into other things, and I believe that was their first show, but they just floored me, and I will never forget it. And I could tell you probably 900 concerts I've gone to in my life and memories of so many shows, but this one is up there. And I mean, this one, I remember looking at this and getting it through my head of what are these lyrics? And I remember it as much as I remember like U2 in their 360 tour and Roger Waters and all these mega bands I've seen. I remember this as much as I remember that, because when I finally clued in that she was reciting a muffin recipe, it was just mind blowing. And now I think if you check their Spotify, they got 20,000 monthly listeners or something. It's some ridiculous number, but they've done well with themselves. And that's the hidden gem of Winnipeg is the undiscovered bands just starting out and where they get to.
Oh, and it'll be good too, because I can almost guarantee you that Kalen from 7 String will probably drop something too, because he does sound sometimes venues, he's a recording engineer.
Yeah.
So like he's gonna know some of these younger bands that are, you know, hot on the heels and ready to hit some stages, stuff like that. 'Cause he's probably worked with them.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right? So he's
Yeah,
gonna know quite a bit. And I'll speak even like to Jody, like owner of Studio 23, or even myself, another studio owner, right? Like we can try till we're blue in the face and our feet are literally like bleeding to try to keep up with the amount of bands and stuff to try to, you know, pitch your stuff to. But I mean, they're constantly coming out and you just can't keep up.
yeah,
So it gets to the point of like, you're kind of sitting there going, well, I'm going to go to this show and give out cards, see what happens. And you kind of just pick and choose as you go, right?
yeah.
Because it gets a lot harder for the industry professionals to be able to be like, hey, I'm going to go to every single show this week.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's another guy who's great is Jody Hunter there, Studio 23, another great person. And you know, going to shows every week, another person I'm going to name drop right now, Jen Minoz. Jen Minoz she works with Jody. She was an intern for Jody. Yeah, and now she's
still there, but she was like learning from
I think
Jody or learning from Kaylin.
I think she's utilizing the space, but will have her own clients now. But that is another girl that is hot on the scene. She's always looking for clients and stuff. She promotes herself so well. But if you don't know Jen, then you need to go to the Tap House on a Thursday. And if you have been at the Tap House on a Thursday and have not met Jen, then you were there on a Wednesday.
Really?
She's there, yeah. That's what she does, right? She scouts and new music night Thursday nights. What a better place to go on a Thursday night if you want to hear a new band is New Music Thursdays. And yeah, she's there. She was there last week, and she'll be there this week, I'm sure. So, but that's another great person in the Winnipeg scene who just promotes. And she just did Ash and the Arsonist new album, and holy crap, I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually, yeah, that might be the release of the year, besides Valley and Arrow.
Well, and I've heard she's incredibly talented too.
Oh my God, yeah, for sure.
Got a knack for it.
Visionary, yeah, I love it. She's great. And that's it, right? Like I said, so many good people in Winnipeg. Luke Clement, Dale McIntyre. He's doing Leadwind's album right now. He's guitarist for the Northern Royals and Exo Murda. Both bands will be at the Summerfest. Looking forward to that. So yeah, just great people, right? And yourself too, Jeff. I wish you lived 100 miles closer, but
yeah, right. Tons of guys that like, like I know like Taha from Unveiled and you know, like people from the metal side of the scene, and I know I'm right into the country scene too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had tons of them go like, Jeff, move to Portage. Just come to Portage. We'll keep you busy. Just move to Portage. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's going to go over well with my family.
No.
And there's a lot of missing pieces you're not thinking about here that come with having to sell everything, move to Portage, and set everything back up.
People who tell you to move elsewhere haven't seen your wonderful yard yet.
Right? Oh, it's so serene, man. And like from anyone I've talked to, aside from myself or Jody, we are the only two people that kind of have studios in the country. We're not crammed into, you know, like a business block or anything, right? You can come there, you can chill. Like I've personally recorded with Jody with Midnight Renegade. We did our EP Recovery just before we disbanded with Jody because my studio was dismantled. So it shows support, right? We don't compete with each other or anything. And it's like, I don't have the time to dig through the disaster that was my studio. So I just shot Jody a message. He's like, yeah, man, come on down. This is when I got available. I'll work with you.
Cool.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought you did that.
I
thought your recovery was done out there.
Yeah, and then we ended up, I did the mixing and mastering, and then Jody did all the recording for us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because the studio was all torn apart, right? So, so that's another thing on support too, right? Like most people would think that, oh, well, these studios they're competing with each other. Well, no, we're not. We're helping each other. If they're closer to me, Jody's going to send them to me. He trusts my quality of work. He trusts me. If they're really close to him and they want to work with him, he's an offer that I make to the people, right? Yeah. Or it's, well, you want someone, Jody's there. He's like half hour to an hour from Winnipeg. Yeah. I'm 2 hours from Winnipeg. It kind of depends where you want to go, right? And how far they want to go.
Yeah, exactly right. And he's God is I was out there last week at Studio
Yeah.
23. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. He's got it
He
nicely done
yeah.
and set up and
Oh my
everything
God.
now. And
So nice. And what a nice guy to, we sat down and chatted with him. Um, or sorry, what I didn't tell you about Valley Narrow is Valley Narrow has a backup drummer, Alex Simpson, who's part of Pure Entry, which you've heard about 10 times already on here. But Alex fills in when PJ can't, because PJ's part of 5 More Miles, and when 5 More Miles has a gig, 5 More Miles comes first. That's fine. That's agreed on, and he knows that if he can't make it, we will pull Alex. So anyway, Alex lives out by Studio 23. So we headed out and stopped in to see Jody first, and then we headed across. Been talking with Jody, and he wanted me to come check out his place, and nice guy. And I don't know if I mentioned this already. Jody will be a sponsor on the podcast in the month of May.
May, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exciting. My first signed on sponsor. So happy it's him. It's a local show. We only want local, so we are going to keep with the local vibe. I love it.
Oh yeah, and definitely like if you shoot me an email or whatever with the info in it, what month you got available or whatever. I may not be exclusively local. I mean, I've done as much as I can in Winnipeg, from like Burgers for a Mess and stuff with Red
Manitoba, man. Manitoba's local.
Okay.
So,
I'll support you either way.
No, you know what? And that's the thing is, like Matt Corey, he's from Brandon. I've had him on the show before. Peg City Soundoff may just be based out of Winnipeg, but I try and keep it Manitoba, right? It just happens to be the most of these bands are from Winnipeg, and it's my own fault. I haven't discovered anything outside of it really, besides Matt. But there's some good bands. I'm hoping to learn more about what's going on in Brandon. I'm sure there's some good bands coming out of Brandon too. So
there's tons. Like,
and then I have you guys coming on one day too, right? You guys come on.
Danny and I?
Oh God, yeah.
No, we probably could. Yeah, we would. Yeah, if you have an industry day, I'd come on with Frozen Fire too. Like,
exactly. You know what? And that's kind of it. I got one coming up. So we've had fan night before, which is cool. A couple just local people, not in bands, but they come on, just talk about what's going on, talk about their bands in Winnipeg and what Winnipeg music means to them. And now I got a 90s night coming up. I love the 90s. We got 90s night coming up in March. I'm not sure which day yet, but it's going to be a 90s night. So it's going to be multiple people coming on. I can have up to 9 or 10, I think. So we'll just talk about music of the 90s. And, a lot of people grew up with that 90s music that come on the show. And it'll be interesting because as much as going through the 90s and loving music and listening to music as much as I did, I had my bands, right? I had Stone Temple Pilots and Tea Party, and I had these Our Lady Peace, I'm Mother Earth. There's these bands that I really like coming through, right? But someone's going to come on there and they're going to be into a whole other genre. It could be something like that punk style, like Goldfinger and stuff like that. Like bands that I could tell you like 3 songs, but someone's going to come on and is going to be really tuned into, like, that's what they listened to through the 90s. And there could be people who come in listening to that, remember those Much Dance CDs?
Yes, yeah.
Who knows? Someone might come on with Much Dance. And I know Deidre Boris, she's probably going to come on, and she's part of Suburban Funk Machine in the city here. And I'm just trying to plug as many people as I can here. But she's going to come on, and it's going to be a fun night. But that's what I'm kind of gearing towards, is having special nights like that. So having Frozen Fire on, absolutely. Come on, let's talk about recording. Let's talk about everything music.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know, like, Deidre Boris, another awesome artist, actually. I've seen her because I normally sponsor the sound system and stuff for fuck, I can never remember his name. Clint, anyway, from Red Tie Productions. I can never remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he does Burgers for a Mess every year.
Yes.
So I sponsor equipment.
The E&W there, yeah.
Yeah, I sponsor equipment, and I've never ever heard of her at all, like Deidre.
Mm-hmm.
Never ever heard of her at all. And I was leaning on the back fence talking to Ronnie Ladderbrook, right? And I'm sitting there like, dude, like that little amp, like, holy shit, you're phenomenal, right? And he looks at me and he's just kind of, I dabble. And I'm like, you are the best guy I've ever met, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Deidre, I'm sitting there and I'm an Ed Sheeran fan. Like, I mean, what that man can do all by himself with a bunch of loopers, bunch of instruments, everything fascinates me, right? His overall style is a little to my music taste.
Yeah.
But I can respect what he can do, right? So then all of a sudden I walk in, I grab a coffee, I walk out, and then I just hear like shivers coming off the stage, like out of the speakers. So I'm looking at Clint and I'm like, do you have a playlist on? And he's, no. And he points up. I look, and her version of Shiver from Ed Sheeran was remarkable. Blew me away. And all it is her sitting on a stool with an acoustic guitar and belting it out. And I was just blown away. And I'm like, who is that? And Ronnie's like, oh, that's Deidre.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah, she's got a song called Center Stage, which you can find online, and yeah, she's good. I'll be honest with you, I tried to get her in the I feel horrible saying this because she's going to see it probably. I wanted to get her involved in the Summerfest, but I couldn't find a way to squeeze her in because she's such a supporter of the Soundoff. All those bands that are on that thing have either been on the show or have showed some kind of support. I'm pretty sure everyone has a member who's been on that show, though. And I really want to find a way to get her in. If they give me an extra hour at the Tap House, she will probably start. I hope I will ask her if she could start off the night where she just go up and do an acoustic set because, she's just so great of a person. And she came out last week and saw us play, and us and Matt Corey and Ledwin, and yeah, it was cool to have her in the audience. I met her in person, and yeah, I gotta find a way to get her involved in something musical because yeah, she's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I definitely recommend for people to check her out too if they can come across. I'm sure she probably has stuff out there somewhere, either YouTube, Spotify.
Yeah, she's like I say, she got a song called Center Stage on Spotify for sure because it is on the Manitoba Music playlist.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, plug her on there. So yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to touch on before we?
No, I think we did. I think we did pretty good here. I appreciate you having me on here for the first episode. This is cool. I've been looking forward to this all day. I want to get on talking about music and like I said, it was a little bit. It's different for me. Usually, I'm the one asking questions, and it's kind of nice to talk about what's going on in my life and hear about what's going on with you. And yeah, you're great, Jeff. You do. I respect the community support you do. Like I said, a little story about meeting you as the sound guy, and now we're here. It's great. I appreciate you. Everyone who's worked with you appreciates you. Whether it's recording or just in the community itself. So this is cool. I am looking forward to this coming out, and I'm a promotional monster. I'm probably going to share the hell out of it. But I'm looking forward to another episode with someone else and just get an inside look at them.
Well, and I guess it's not exactly a spoiler because I do want to start actually having it booked up enough that we can have a little bit of a, lead up to it, develop some hype to it. But I have actually been in talks with Pure Entry about coming on and having Alex and Dave, and I don't know the newer ones that are in the band now.
So Eric Easfeld, who's part of Ledwin as well, he's a bass player for Ledwin. That guy is such a cool guy. That whole band I love Pure Entry. Alex, yeah, Dave's awesome, and they got a new guy, Mike Sodoma, on guitars, and they played with us at Bulldog, and Mike is a monster on guitar. And ask Dave how he liked the sound at Bulldog and how much he loved the sound of Mike's guitar, because I think all he got was Mike's guitar. Mike's guitar is also the Gretsch I talked about that Eric dropped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Those guys are so awesome. Oh my God, if you have them coming on, they are great people to talk to. Eric, I joked with Eric. He was just on the Peg City on last Thursday. We did a little promotional show with Matt Corey and Ledwin and Valley Narrow for the Tapo show. And I joked with Eric that it was his 5th time on the Peg City Soundoff, whether he's with Ledwin or with Pure Entry. It was his 5th time, and I said, like Saturday Night Live has the 5-timer jackets that, like, Chevy Chase should probably have, and Martin Short, they have those 5-timer jackets. I told Eric I gotta get like a 5-timer jacket for him. But yeah, Eric, he's such a good guy. Man, he's gonna have some good stories for you. He's got a musical life too. So I know his mom's a music teacher or something, and I won't spoil all of it. You'll let him tell a story, but what a great group of guys.
Well, I'm just waiting on a response from them, but I know one of them reached out. I think it was Alex, actually.
Yeah.
That he would love to get on. But I'm assuming they're probably busy and getting, because everyone has lives outside of the music. So
they got a bunch of shows. They'll be in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I tell you, they'll be in. They come on the Peg City, and yeah, what a great group of people though. I'm looking forward to that. One. Yeah, great people. Dave's such a great guy. The Red Rhino. He's a great guy. Mike.
He's quite the guy. I've met them a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, Mike. You know what? I'm gonna leave you with one last story here about Mike from Pure Entry. And this is a full circle story, I will tell you. I met Mike years ago. He played in a band. I can't remember what band it was. But I met him years ago through mutual friends, and he was playing Bulldog. And it was some kind of like scam jam event where they had like a half pipe skateboard thing.
Okay, like Nolet style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they had one of those little half pipes, so they're going up and down, and there's boards flying everywhere. And it was at Bulldog. And I went to the show at Bulldog, and Mike's band was playing, and Mike, he killed it. He's good. He killed it. Anyway, then he was going to the skateboard and doing his thing. But Mike broke a string on stage on his guitar. And he's like, oh, crap. What do I do? Well, a guy in the crowd had a guitar. Let Mike use the guitar the rest of the show. Fast forward 2 weeks ago at Bulldog Event Center. Our vocalist breaks a string on stage.
Here you go.
Mike brings up the guitar. And that's a full circle story of Mike. And I joked about it that night on stage that it has finally come full circle for Mike. And yeah, man, I am so excited for that. I love those guys. But there's a full circle story about Mike. And yeah, that's just another one of those things about Winnipeg, though, right? Someone in the crowd had to have something for him.
Yep, that's just it.
Of course, there's a bunch of musicians there. Someone's gonna, but ask a drummer to share their cymbals. I bet you're gonna get a different response than hear use mine.
You'll become a drumstick.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
awesome.
All right, well then, with that, if you got nothing new to share, then we'll cut her off.
That's it. Just kind of, I would say if I can shamelessly promote myself, just check out Valley Narrow's EP coming out. It's called The Where and the When, February 21st. EP release on February 22nd, and that's at the Tap House. Yeah, come out for that. We'll be in Brandon. Anyone who's watching this out that way, we'll be in Brandon Eastside Eatery. You should come out. It's gonna be a great show. Approach us, talk to us. Like, we're cool. We love meeting new people. And as for the Peg City Soundoff, like, it's been 5 months, and things are just getting started. And the Summer Fest is I'm pretty sure they're gonna have to close Osborne the next day because there will be pieces of the roof all over the road. These bands are going to blow the roof off that place, and I'm looking forward to it. And this is just getting started. I hope this turns into a yearly thing. And last but not least, just support your local yokels out there. Let's support each other. And the Winnipeg music scene, the Manitoba music scene, you can't go on without the support of people. And I guess one thing is there's been some attendance issues with some venues, and I think we got to look at it this way. I'm going to plug the Tap House again because I love the place, and they've treated anyone I know, including my band, with the most respect and just treated us so well with everything. But go see a band at the MTS Center, pay your $200, pay your $10 a beer, and it may be a great show, it may not, but hey, go see that show. It's not like you're going to go every day and see something like that, but think that when you're spending that $150 on your $10 beers that you're drinking all night, that for $10 to get into the Tap House and a $5 PBR, you're $15, and you're usually going to get music from 9 till 1, 8 till 12, something like that. It doesn't take a lot to go see a local band. It doesn't cost much money. You could go to these venues with $20 in your pocket, get in the venue, buy a beer, and hang out and meet some great people and just see a live band for less than $20, right? People complain about the price of beer, is the price of tickets, the price of this, price of this. Take $20, go see your local band. These bands, this isn't their day jobs. They're out there, they're putting their own money into it. Trust me, I know there's so many finances involved with it. These EPs aren't for free. Merch is not for free. Ticketing isn't for free. None of this stuff is for free. Go support local bands. No one wants to be in a band where you're lose, and these up and coming bands want to see other bands successful and see other people coming out to shows, and just support local. Take your $20 in your pocket. Don't buy a pack of cigarettes. Go watch a local band. That's what all I got to say. I just want to see people support local, and yeah, that's about it. As I'm sitting in a Blink-182 sweater, for God's sake. Why did I wear anything else? But I had so many local gear to wear, and I wear this. Gotta be kidding. Yeah, that's all I got for you, though, Jeff.
Okay, so then before we kind of close it off here, do you want to kind of give a shout out on your socials and where to find Valley Narrow Music? The socials are PC Soundoff.
We are Valley Narrow is on Facebook, just on our Valley Narrow, and then I don't control the Instagram. And here's one of my last shout outs. Oh, there it is right there. One of my last shout outs, Eric's sister, Jordan, she does our Instagram, and she does such a great job. I guess we kind of messed up. We didn't link it up correctly, but she does that. So we are at Valley Narrow Band on Instagram. We are Valley Narrow on Facebook. You'll see 2 little triangles. That is our logo. And Peg City Soundoff. Yeah. YouTube, go subscribe. Facebook, go follow. Instagram is such a I don't know how to use Instagram. That's why I don't do Instagram. But it is on Instagram too under Peg City Soundoff. But Peg City _Soundoff. But yeah, that's where you'll find us. You'll also find us at a bunch of shows coming up. And yeah, check out our EP coming out. There won't be physical copies. It's going to be strictly just online. And if anyone wants a physical copy, I'll literally burn a copy, and it'll be one of those silver CDR things. But that's just kind of the way it is with
Jeff, print a sticker.
I know, right? That's kind of the way it is with physical copies right now. It's one of those things that's like I don't know whether to do it or not. And then behind me I got a Northern Royals package, and they got cassette tapes, for God's sakes. Like, you guys are crazy. But anyway, I'd like to do a record one day. But I need more music. But yeah, that's where you can find us: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check out the Peg City Soundoff. There's a little chat box. If you ever watch an episode, just chime in there. People are so good. We usually recognize every single comment in there too. And there's been some episodes where there's 90 comments, but we recognize every comment. And the bands love it. I love it. It's kind of what makes the show go on. And yeah, cool, man. This has been a blast. I'm very thankful you got me on here. Glad I got to kind of talk about my dad at the start there, and his contribution to my life of music. And he's kind of my number. Well, I don't want to say number one supporter, but he's a big supporter of me. I think my wife's my number one supporter and number one critic too. So,
It's weird how that works, right?
it's all good. She's entitled to it. So
They let us spend the money, so why not?
exactly. Yeah.